Maybe that's a point you can bring up. Alright, let me do the intro. Hey guys, welcome to week 3 of the ESEA Map of the Week preview with formerly Laser Beams, now fully torqued. Joining me today, I have Seagull. He's going to be here to talk about Soldier. Pure is going to be talking about Demoman. Fragile is going to talk about Medic, and I will talk a little bit about Scout right at the end. Anyways, thank you for watching this. This will be up on my YouTube immediately following. There'll also be a VOD on my Twitch channel. You can follow my YouTube, which is the SeanBud. My Twitter is just at SeanBud. I usually do announcements when we go live. So anyways, Brandon, take it away. What do you say about Soldier? Let's do here, I'll spectate you, and then I'll re-exec, and you can just you want to do like the rollouts first?
Sure.
You want me to buff you?
I have gunboats on.
I don't think it's too necessary, yeah. Just show like what you do as pocket for rollout.
Well, for pocket, I have gunboats on, but generally you only shoot 2 rockets, and then you'll be around 80 HP, and then you equalize the rest of the way. You don't want to go super hard on equalizer like you do on like Badlands or Greenery, because generally you're not going to have a full crit heal by the time you get to this point, and which is when you're going to want to start getting overhealed. Like between this ammo pack and the doors, when you're going to want to take it off and just start walking. Once you get to mid though, lots of teams play mid very differently depending on what they want to do and their goals are. Like some teams go super hard aggressive all the way through the right, and maybe then you'll do like a C-tap jump so you get all the way in, straight on the enemy team. Or maybe you'll C-tap all the way from here on to point. Depends on what your team wants to do. I guess these are mostly roamer jumps I'm talking about. I don't think pockets would generally go super aggressive unless you guys are doing a far right push. Another really cool roamer jump is this one. You just go all the way over. If you really want to be aggressive, like hard blue style or something. But generally for mids on Soldier on this map, I like to play a little more defensive and either counter jump or play off my teammates more. The way this mid is structured, it's really tough if you just want to be like a straight initiator. If you just want to jump straight in right as you walk into mid and get on them, well, no one can really follow you up unless your scouts also come through here, or generally your scouts can be over there, like maybe jumping from there to there, stuff like that. So I generally prefer always just counter jumping enemy soldiers, either when they jump over here or just waiting, playing a spam war like BP played Viaduct versus Mix the other week. It's very effective on this map. As for roamers, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with the drop down if your team wanted to do that sort of thing. I think even scouts can Boston Bash or jump off that and grab the health pack if they wanted to be ballsy enough to do it. I really like playing lower ground as roamer on this map, but it really depends on what your team is doing. I mean, if you guys wanted to play a lower type of game, this mid is probably one of the more complex ones out of the current map lineup, although I haven't really looked at the Metalworks too much. Because I've seen teams, especially, I think around I-46 time, I remember Cadis' team, I think, they would all just get their entire team and they just push bottom left straight across. Or bottom right, whichever one. It's very interesting. But most teams almost generally will just get up top, like your medic will just heal people here, he'll walk up. Your pocket might jump over here a little late after playing lower for a couple rockets. He'll jump up here and meet up with them, and then the spam war starts, and whoever gains the advantage just walks across point and starts killing people.
So, what do you think? What kind of options do you have as pocket soldier on the mid? Do you think jumping like second is better, like maybe waiting to like jump into a scout for a scout fight, or like waiting till their roamer bombs and then jumping him, or jumping the demo?
Yeah, it depends on what your roamer does, because I mean, if your roamer does some hardcore double gunboats, or like some double jump with gunboats straight on them, maybe you want to follow them up even though you don't have gunboats, or something like that, but generally you're just going to want to play really defensive on your side of the map, and then as the fight progresses, just slowly walk across point, and get near point and start spamming. But most of the time I turtle hard on this map, because if you start pushing really aggressively, I don't know, depends on your team, depends on what you guys want to do. This mid, there's so many options on this mid, it's just it's a huge variety.
Yeah, I think you can do like 9 different things on roamer if you played like a 9-round match. It's there's a lot of options for sure in the mid. Do you want to talk about, let's talk about pushes. Let's do pocket soldier first.
Okay, so what will we be pushing?
If you have, let's just assume you have Uber taking two. Like, what's your goal with an Uber if you're taking Uber in this pocket?
I guess the first thing would be where's their combo and where's their medic? Because when you're holding two, a lot of teams play it completely differently than other teams. Like I think most people these days hold their combo up top, and so they have, say, their pocket here, right, with the medic hanging out over here, and that way they have height advantage on both entrances, and it makes the enemy pocket have a really hard time getting the enemy medic to pop, right?
Yeah.
And then, so if they're playing up here, then you know you're not going to want to do a push where you're coming in right here and you're just jumping in super aggressive and you pop like Badlands Valley push almost. You want to like take it slow. You want to walk in. You want to have probably someone else come in first and check this and this as you're walking in, stuff like that. So that's the very first thing I would do is identify where they're holding and whether or not they're doing like a normal top type of defense or if they're playing, you know, on the ground, hard on this choke, because that also happens quite often. Is people want to hold this choke? Yeah.
Okay. So you would prefer like a slow push if they're up top? You don't like going like straight into them?
I think that just sort of depends on what side you're pushing. Like, I mean, if you're pushing this side, then I think slow pushing would work. Although the only thing you really have to worry about are roamers and their positioning.
Yeah.
Like, let's say that the
like if
yeah.
a roamer would come flying around the corner when you came in and get a force or something like that.
Exactly. It highly depends on your flank. I mean, the enemy roamer is probably going to be playing. I would say he's going to be playing on the ground, spamming flank, and keeping an eye on flank with his two scouts. And if he isn't there, I think you could almost pressure this point based on where the enemy roamer is. Like, let's say the enemy roamer is sitting over here, then you might start pressuring this side of it. And if he's over here at choke or he's with the medic up there, then maybe you want to start pressuring this side.
Okay.
But generally, you just want to walk in and you want to. I don't know. If the enemy team is up top, I like pushing flank.
Yeah.
Because flank is really nice because it gives your entire... It's kind of funny because this is considered pushing flank, but at the same time it lets your flank get inside and start making plays inside here. And it cuts off the enemy team.
Would
So
you
now
ever
you
take
have
the Uber all the way like through lobby, or do you think that's too slow? Like, would you ever take the medic down to the left there and then go up upstairs in lobby and flank them on battle?
No.
No?
It'd be too ballsy, because what happens then if the other team notices that you're pushing that, and they just take two scouts and push mid and back up you?
Sure.
Even though it's like, it would take so long to do that, that the two scouts could actually put enough pressure on the midpoint capture time to actually force you to go back or just lose the round.
Okay.
So I think it'd be like very specific situations. Like, let's say we're pushing flank and maybe we get a scout pick, then maybe I'd consider it, because that means that their back cap potential is lessened a bit.
Okay. What about for holding his pocket on this point?
I really enjoy just either playing up here like every single time.
Even if you have
I mean,
Uber? Do you like playing
yeah.
strong on the chokes if you have Uber or not?
Not on this map as much, because I mean this
You can
spot.
still force them pretty easily and get
Yeah,
better
if
counter
your
Uber?
demo and if your pocket and you and your demo are synchronizing your spam well enough, you should be able to make them pop very well with spam, or just get a damage advantage. And so either way, you have an advantage. And same thing with your roamer. Like, your roamer should be able to call flank pretty fast if he's playing near that door and stuff like that.
Okay, and then without Uber, where would you be building? Do you prefer high ground or lobby or what?
Oh, let's say we have Uber and the other team doesn't have Uber. I would probably prefer lobby over top. The only problem, like, let's say the enemy team has Uber, that means they can just muscle you out, right?
Yeah.
If you're sitting there on platform or whatever you want to call that, and they're say pushing you in, then that's all it takes is that jump right there for roamer to double jump and be on your medic, and that's pretty risky. Like, if they start, like, let's say you're up here with Uber versus Uber and they start taking a lot of damage, maybe at some point you'll drop down and just Uber into them, and that way you have a good Uber and they don't. Or maybe you just want to milk it. It depends. But I would say this is kind of risky.
Okay.
Playing up here.
So if you don't have it, you prefer to like build a lobby before you move up top?
Yeah, but it's not really... I mean, I think it's safer from roamers if you have the secondary door covered, but at the same time it's also better for the rest of your team, because it's not just about the Uber in this game. Because, I mean, if you're playing up top by yourself, I guess, your demo and your medic are going to be up here, maybe your scouts, I don't know. I just prefer playing down here, because that means, let's say you're down here, you're building, maybe your flank comes in, they get heals, maybe your demo man can be pushed out over here, spamming them, and then he can back out to door, stuff like that.
Okay, and what about let's do last now.
Attacking or defending?
Like if you, Let's do attacking. If you have an Uber, what do you like to Uber in, or how would you Uber in? There's like I know there's a lot of options, and I think you kind of go away from the sticky traps in general, so you can try and get a later pop. But I guess what's the goal on Uber in the middle, or into last? Sorry.
Yeah, I think most teams push into top. They take over top, or I think people call this river, and they take it over, and that gives them the water opening for flanks, scouts, or they can just straight up push water, or they can just Uber around this corner, and it's only 1 RG away from the medic, and if you're 1 RG away from the medic, it's pretty good Uber.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say, that's where most people prefer pushing his pocket.
Would you say if the demo's down, it's better to go like main or top right through the shutter door or anything like that? Or is that too risky to get like juggled or like pyro denied?
No, I mean, River and this are both pretty good. I think if you have Uber advantage, then you want to take like a scout plus yourself and probably go this way. And that way you can clear out every possible exit. It's kind of different. Like if you're pushing with Uber and they don't have Uber, their entire goal to stay alive is probably to get behind your Uber and hope that you don't get enough cap time before your Uber wears off to where they can all collapse on you from different directions with like a positional advantage. So like let's say if I'm roamer and I'm going to be playing on this pipe, if they push in river, I'm going to instantly start pushing out right here, push the enemy flank back, and hopefully they can't connect with their Uber and stuff like that. And so if you have Uber advantage, you probably want to push this way, and that way you can help, like you can connect with the rest of your team. Because I mean, if you're pushing river, then you probably have people cut off from the rest of your Uber from like down here, and there's a potential for them getting picked walking into this last point from these 3 entrances. Whereas if you just ball up, right? Because if you have Uber advantage, then you might as well just ball up and like tap and multi everyone in the game. It's probably better to push one of these chokes instead of river. Especially if you're pushing river, I mean, they could have like a pyro just sitting around this corner. You can just like corner dance you like this. It's a pretty good spot.
What about for roamer for attacking last? Do you prefer like a suicide for an off class, or do you think roamer's still pretty good for attacking this?
I love roamer on this entire map. I think this is probably one of the best roamer maps in the game. I really love probably pushing this side as roamer because it gives you the easy spam angle on everything, and you can sort of like survey the situation before committing to anything. I'm not a really big fan of just jumping in blindly unless it's part of your team push. Like say you're pushing river, then maybe you'd have a second soldier as part of the Uber, right? And then you'd both go for the medic. But if you're playing up here, I mean, all you have to do is learn how to shoot between these pipes. And now you can sort of spam the medic and that sort of thing. I'm not very good at it, but...
Okay. Do you think roamers should be like forcing the capital? Like if they sneak underneath, do you think it's pretty good to get the roamer behind the point there?
Yeah, this place for roamer is interesting in water as well as the other path, because if you ever, like let's say it's near the end of the fight, if you're in a position like this as roamer, a scout or anyone else, I mean, there's nothing for them to move on. There's like 1 barrel there maybe. And over here, there's nothing for them to move on over here except for maybe this ramp, but the ceiling's so short it doesn't matter. So there's a couple of really good spots for roamers.
Okay. What about for holding? If you're pocket?
Generally, everyone in the game, from what I see, holds like really far back his pocket. Like they'll hold all the way back here, and then they'll just spam as they come in. And all of these chokes are pretty small, which means you can generally force them right as they come in. Like, let's say their medic comes across river, all you have to do is spam here and here, and the forces down. Main is really easy. And if they come out this door, your Demoman probably has it sticky along with your spam. You should be able to force them pretty fast. So I mean, because all 3 of these chokes are so small and there's no cover, it's not like warm front or anything, you can play back and then force them as they come out and then just milk it for a few extra seconds before counter-Ubering.
Okay. If you already had your Uber, would you, I mean, you do not like holding up, in pugs I like to hold up, when I'm like medicing, I like to hold up close to the left door and look through the window and see like where their Uber's rotating to. And as long as the demo is watching the right side, I think it's a pretty good spot to hold because you can still see in lobby and like see where the flank's going to be coming from as well.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of just pushing up to this door, if that's what you mean, and then like you can just sort of play this if you want, but you have to be ultra careful. Because I mean, it's so easy to just be sitting here, and then, you know, people come around this corner and they bounce you, and you die. And there's no one that can save you, unless your roamer goes through there, maybe. But...
Okay. What else can we talk about for your soldier?
Roamer, probably. Just roamer in general. Like, let's say, I really love defending roamer from this position. on the second point, like say it's uber like standard stalemate type of situation. I really love handling this position. I just sit here, spam one rocket, reload, spam one rocket. You can do this forever, and you just control that ammo pack every time you get down to 10. You should just do that the entire game. It makes scouts so angry. I've had scouts message me after a game.
That pre-fire rocket's so annoying when you try and peek, and if you get a buff and try and start pushing the flank and then just ruins your buff. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, and that's why I really love doing this, but maybe that's just because I enjoy making scouts mad. And on the other hand, you also have, you can double jump a little bit off like that and do a really, really high jump and come over here as long as you're staying 300. Or, I mean, you could even, like, let's say, I don't know if I would do this consistently, but you can do a double jump like that if you're always keeping 300 between there and there. Like, let's assume that you think they're about to push soon, so everyone comes in for an overheal, and then maybe you can do that double jump to come over here. You can do the tall double jump to get up above there if they come in this way. I think if you're just good with your rocket jumps, you should be able to make them pop with spam on either direction. And let's say they push flank. I love playing the spot as roamer if they push flank, because I mean you can sit here and then you can spam, and then all you have to do is take the staircase, and no one's going to be able to push you, and there's only two directions they can come from. And if you're listening to footsteps well, you can hear which way they're coming from, and then rotate. So I mean, let's say they're pushing flank, you switch from this door, like they're walking in, you start spamming them, and then they're about to walk in, so you start spamming them here, and then you get up top and you start spamming them here, and then you have an escape as well, because you can easily get out through top, and there's another health pack here in case you take any damage. Pushing flank versus a good roamer set up properly is really pain in the ass.
Okay. Let's see, were there any questions about Soldier?
I think Zigster had good ones. One sec, let me find them.
Not that any seagull could answer.
Is Gully a viable shotgun map? I've always felt the low chokes made it really bad map for jumps, so usually run shotgun on Gully.
Absolutely not.
No.
Never, just never take off the
I think
shotgun.
there's a lot of health packs, and it's still
Yeah,
pretty
there's so
open
many health
on
packs,
middle
and
two.
let's say, you could say this choke is low, sure, but you can also just do this. Assuming you land that second jump, and now you've created an opening for your team, and you didn't even have to come this far out. You can go all the way over here. You can do all sorts of cool jumps on this map.
Okay.
But I would absolutely never take off gunboats on this map. It's not even just because, oh hey, there's a lot of cool jumps you can do. It's like, it's so easy to get fast flanks on this map because, yeah, the chokes are low, but at the same time, let's say they're pushing, it's so easy to just flank really, really fast because it's so open.
Pretty fancy jumps through the middle there. Yeah, it still is. Yeah, I think all the health packs are pretty convenient for roamer. You can be pretty mobile still with gunboats. I think as long as gunboats are light, you should probably keep them on as roamer.
Yeah.
For mids, he asked, do you think the roamer should initiate or do like a follow-up?
That depends on your strat. Most of the time, I really love just playing defensive roamer on mid fights like this one. Just play the bottom, play middle, just wait for the fight to get to a certain point and do delayed jump. Because on this map, if you jump really, really fast, your scouts can't follow you up, and that's the whole point of a jump in the first place, because you're probably not going to get like a triple kill jumping roamer, right? Because roamers are generally considered to be horrible stats all the time, stuff like that. It's like you're a support role. And so if you're a support role on mid fights, well, you can't really be supporting your team if you're jumping in too quickly. So I would always just play either on the lower part and do a delayed jump, or counter jump, or just push one of the lower areas back. I really love focusing scouts on mid fights, so generally I just look for them and I just push them back.
Okay. Last question is, he asks if, for pushing middle, if you're holding two, do you think going down, drop down there, and jumping on them from there, so like try and get a force or initiate the mid push is a good idea at all? Or do you think that's too all in, or do you think it's only good against like bad teams?
Oh, do you mean pushing mid?
Yeah, if you're pushing middle. Yeah, the question was, would you ever like drop down there as roamer to your left and then jump up on them and try and get a force that way, or do you think that's like overcommitting?
Well, a lot of those plays like that are like you can just instantly say, "Oh man," you're like, "Yeah, man, it's a bad play. He got caught or whatever." But at the same time, it's worth testing your enemy.
Kind of situational,
because
like if you see them putting like 3 things on the flank, where, like you can kind of assume maybe nothing's watching that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, got distracted. But
Okay.
it's not like a gimmick play at all. It's worth testing versus at least every team. Do it at least 2 times. You don't want to do it at least. You want to do it at least 2 times, I think. And then it's never just a straight up bad play, because at any point you could just it doesn't. You don't have to initiate. Like, you can come in through this flank, and you don't have to be the initiator. You can wait until the fight's starting, and then come in through that flank while no one is covering it because they're all distracted, and then you can jump in.
Another question from chat. Do you think pain train is viable at all? Like, it is kind of prone to back caps. Do you think it's worth trying that? Or,
Yeah, this is a pretty good map for Pain Train if you wanted to play with it. I wouldn't run it at a mid-fight because I think Equalizer would be pretty good for running around in a mid-fight, but after that, Pain Train would be pretty solid.
I
especially
ran
for, like,
Pain
pushing
Train and
last.
an invite pug on this map, and it was as a joke at first, but then I was like, oh my god, I'm like
Yeah.
backcapping with scouts and doing all this weird shit. Weird stuff, excuse me.
I think that about covers Soldier. Thanks, Brandon. If you have to go. So. We'll have Brad come in
Brandon?
and talk about Demo now.
I'll try
sorry, guys.
to.
I'm going to be
Try
calling him
to.
Brad, but hopefully you all know by now. Brad is Pure. He plays Demo on our team. He's a medic extraordinaire as well. Some guy in chat's asking, "Shh, where do you want the stickies at?" Shh.
Do you want the sissy? I can't do it right now. I'm like still in work mode. Haven't had a drip of alcohol yet. Need my drip.
Alright,
Need my drip.
I'm going to restart the round.
Justin's here. Oh my god.
Brad, do you want to show him like a few rollouts?
Yeah, I'm gonna work on one rollout, which I don't have down. Like the Banny rollout, which like he soars from here to over there. I think I always put the sticky too far back, where I think he walks forward and does like something like this, you know?
Yeah.
But
Can you show
better.
the general idea of that rollout though? I'm sure there's like rollout videos on YouTube. People can.
Do you have cheats on? Oh, no, hi.
Yeah, I think Nick's got you covered. Here, I'll restart it again. Let's just go live.
That's a seagull. He's got a captain's hat.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, you want to get to the door. You just don't want to get too far away from your medic. And then I think he does this. This is like their. Oh, see, nah, dude, I'm horrible at this right now. I'll do 3 rollouts and then I'll do the other one. Yeah. So you just come out here, and you want to go without hitting the top, and that was actually too high. You want to go this way, and then it's kind of like the slow rollout, but because of your positioning on mid being right here when you get to mid, like your access to everything, it's a really nice rollout. I really like this rollout because you can stop underneath, you can see drop down, you can hit up top on both sides, you can hit the nipple. The only real way, no, actually, there's not many ways that you can die. Maybe someone, like, you're looking top right, and then a scout comes through there or something, but there's not many ways you can die or get, like, murdered by someone, you know? Maybe a jumper jumping on you and you're like this, but this is the general way of doing it, and it's pretty good. You know, good access point to everywhere. You can be hiding and still hitting people with damage because of your stickies. So that's that one. It's pretty straightforward. You just the most important things. You don't want to take much. You don't want to take fall damage, really. Let me get hurt me on here. Oh, we don't have cheats on. Okay, it's cool.
I got
It's
it.
cool. Okay, it's cool. It's cool. So yeah, you come out the door here, and you don't want to get much height. You can even just land on that and then keep walking. Some people do an additional sticky here, but it's just really stupid. Just walk to mid. And what you're doing is, once you get to this sliding door right here, and trust me guys, I don't play a lot of this. This is like from 15 hugs as Demoman on this map, maybe even more. But you're like you start charging right here, because when you get right here, you're gonna release a sticky that's gonna hit up there. And your goal, if they do the Banny, if he does the Banny rollout, there's nothing you can do to get there ahead of him, except for also doing the Banny rollout on the other side. But Demo's going normal speed. They'll get here, and then your goal is to hit them. Yeah, I'll go over there. Your goal is just to fire a sticky up there and hit right around there. So, you know, you'll do some scrimmages and you'll figure out the timings. Maybe even watch an STV demo. And excuse me. Boom, 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 boom. That's that one. In terms of the other rollouts, the Banny one I'm going to work on, and I'll just have it in my arsenal. But the other rollout you can do is this one, which is just going choke.
Someone
And
said for the Banny rollout, you put the sticky on the white dot on that post.
the white dot on that post?
Yeah.
Oh, then, see, there you go. So, and then you put it to here, and you go down there, and... Oh, he doesn't even get the health back. He
No, I
just
don't
gets
think
the
he even gets
260 and
it's
goes
just
right to the
ultra
door.
fast, yeah.
Just go to my perspective, I think I have it.
Okay.
It's actually slow.
Yeah. Plus, you don't have a buff there, so.
Yeah. You get the
It's
general
one of
idea.
the one of the fastest rollouts. If you
I
do
like
that
your
if you do that
chat,
quick choke
Sean.
rollout, they can get to you can get to like where Brandon was quickly and shut them out of the flank if they're coming flank. You don't like
Boom
my chat.
boom. No, I don't like your chat.
They're mocking you.
No, it's Friday. I'm gonna go hang out with interesting people, and these are fucking losers. So, no offense to the few of you out there. The other rollout we're talking about, you get to the door here, and you do the same thing where you come down the main entrance, and then you do another jump to pack, take the pack, and then get to choke. This is like a standard one, where the only thing that's really faster than you will be Banny and the other complete side, but it's interesting. Some scouts will do plus forwarding from spawn, and so they have the ability to hop on that and then hop up here and really engage you. But it really just comes down to your pre-firing of stickies in the right spots and then being aggressive. You don't want to sit back in this area here and then get juggled around and then be like, oh, I'm out of the fight, I'm out of the fight. So, there you go.
Do you ever
Move up like
guard
that.
yourself from like a drop down jump from a roamer at all? If you go choke?
Honestly, the call from drop down should be made by someone who went right and can hopefully see it. Hopefully see it, but you know, you're never really gonna get killed. Like, you get to this point here, and then you might have the threat of a jumper.
Okay.
But if I hear someone like that, depending on how the fight's going, I'll either just put a couple stickies like this, and then keep fighting, like totally not even looking at it. But if the fight's not going well, I'm not gonna pay attention at all. It's like the kind of thing where Viaduct, where a roamer jumps behind you, and you can either just think about the roamer all the time, or you can just respond by just totally ignoring him and like keep getting shot in the back, but you're like, fuck you, I don't even care about you, just keep shooting me in the back. Because as Demoman, you know those pushes where you really need to be in a position to help out your team. So I can do one thing where I can be like this and be like, oh, there's a roamer behind us, guys, there's a roamer behind us. Or I can just be like, fuck it, and you can just be engaging targets, and then maybe even be like, go, okay, I'm going over here, stuff like this, and then the roamer jumps you and you're like, oh, surf some damage and stuff like that, and hopefully Scout will help you out. So that's that. I don't have the rollouts down cold because I've never really cared about getting them that cold. Like in pugs, it's just like, oh,
Sure.
don't care. But I'm definitely going to refine them, like over the weekend sometime, to spend an hour.
Yeah.
The whatchamacalling. Boom, 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 boom.
So just in general for mids, do you think you cover mids well enough, or what's your general idea on mid? Like, do you fight the demo first? Do you try to deny the scouts the platform?
It's definitely about engaging the scouts and then engaging the demo man. On every single map, every single like situation I'm in, I like engaging scouts. I like putting a little bit of damage on them because then they're not like bulls. I call like the 185 scouts bulls, just like charging towards you. And if you get hit in front, if they actually get in front of you with 185, there's really not much you're gonna do to them. So.
One shitty thing I noticed about playing scout on this middle, it's kind of a scout point, but it's also for demo. It's a good thing you can do to deny scouts because they have like 4 options if they want to come up top and contest you and be in part of that fight.
You're talking about left?
Just in general, like if you're playing left right there, like the scout can either come straight up left, which is kind of a death trap if you hit a pipe. He can jump to the platform where your right sticky is there, or he can jump up on the awning on the right side across from you. And you can still hit a sticky from there because you can see that he's doing that rollout, and you can just prime one and hit him with it.
That Brandon right there?
Yeah, that sticky right there. Also to your right, across middle, if they do the awning jump and then jump up to that side.
Brandon, the move that most top scouts do, which no one really talks about, is when they come through this right side here, and they immediately hop up here like this, not even pressing forward. So they come in, they hop. Sorry, yeah, you can do it. They hop up in there, and what that does is that when a scout does that to me, he has the ability to double jump on here and like, yeah, exactly. That's like what the best scouts do, is even though they know I'm covering here, they're going to test me and like move over there. So now I have to like hit them with different kinds of aims. So that's, if you're a demo man or a roamer in this position, watch out for the scouts that just jump right over here really quickly. But it's not like, it's hard to hit them with damage. Like, you know what I mean, Sean? Like, I'm sorry. When you're putting pre-fire, like, okay, literally, I'll do one here. Like, if I was entering, this is really what I would do, and I'd be like this. And I'd move. This is just one aggressive way of doing it, because if a scout, they don't even care. I'll just like do stuff like this, maybe fall to my team. Really, the way I would say it to the open players and IM players is that you have around between like 3 and 5 seconds when you walk in here where you need to be doing something well for your team. You can't be like screwing up. You have to be at least hitting some damage or taking damage on you. Like, people need to either be shooting you or you need to be connecting damage. Otherwise, you're screwing your team on this middle. You come out here and you're like, oh man, I'm backing out. You know, I'm not in the fight, guys. I'm not in the fight. You're literally just shitting on the money. It would have been better for you to like plus forward this scout right here and take him on than to back out. So a good rule, make sure that you're engaging in the first 3 to 5 seconds of middle, or at least being shot at. Otherwise, you know, the combo's going to come through here and like, oh, Demo backed out, Demo backed out. Well, fuck him. Let's kill all these people. So the other thing on middle is, I really said going this way is the best, and it's the traditional way, and it's the best. But let's see here. I think shooting up here, because you can either, if the team goes aggressive, because Brandon was talking about that, right? I caught a little bit about that. Like, if the combo comes in here, they'll run up this side really aggressive. That's what they'll do. So if you're a demo man coming from the other direction, you're basically you're pre-charging a sticky, and most of the time you go like towards the left over there, since most scouts like to go up that. Sorry. Most scouts like to go up that awning. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think on middles, like at least one scout will always go up on that. So I always do. Not always, but traditionally we'll do a pre-charged sticky there, and just deny the nipple. And once you deny the scouts, see, that's what you were talking about. Like, who do you shoot at first? The first people you're going to see is either a Banny rollout, where he's already at middle before anyone, or scouts. So, like, as demo man, you get here, and you're like, okay, I want to shoot that scout. I see a scout there. And less important, is it to hit damage? No, I'm not going to make this comment. Basically what I'm trying to say is that it's really important that you call out where you see the scouts. Because if you see a scout top right and the other scout top left, you know the scouts are both on point. There's no sizer play where he's waiting underneath here at middle and he counts to 4 seconds and then he's like going in. There's no sizer. Because that's actually what happens against good teams. You see one scout, you're like, I don't know where the other scout is. I don't know where the other scout is. And even though you keep pushing, the fact that you made that call about I don't know where the other scout is that the scouts on your team are like, who's being gay in the other team? Who's really trying to make something happen? So for the new demos, just do the rollout where you come over here, play with your team, and maybe move up left. For the more advanced demos, you can come into here through flank, and just make sure you don't get overrun right away. The good players, whether you're an open or IM, it's all relative. The good players of open, the good players of IM are going to be testing you. So just watch some STVs. Yeah.
Okay.
Middles at least.
I think it covers mid pretty well. Do you want to talk about pushing into 2?
Pushing into 2.
Maybe a few sticky traps for holding it. Like where you put yourself for holding it.
Boom, boom.
Do you think the demo goes with the combo the majority of the time in this map?
The demo, the most in my opinion, ever since even with the drop down implementation, this is probably the hardest choke. No. Even with the drop down implementation, this is one of the most interesting chokes in TF2 in my opinion, because the teams that rush this push lose the map. Because what's going to happen is you rush this push for whatever reason, and then 3 of you die here. They cap mid. And because your respawns are going to be screwed for the next point, they're just going to walk into 2. So literally, this fight is the most important fight on the map, in my opinion, because it's going to influence if you're going to cap the enemies last, if you do well pushing, or if the enemy's going to have you on your last if you mess up. So like, think about it like this, guys. I have my medic behind me, Fragile's here, and I'm getting ready to push. I'm finding where the stickies are. Everything seems okay. I'm like, okay, the stickies are gone. I'm like, oh, I'm doing damage. They pop. They're coming in. Wait. Okay, let's go in. Like, that's a good Uber. And you're just going to push them back. You spam the front door, stuff like that. But imagine something different. Imagine where I'm doing the same thing, and I'm like, okay, it's good. And I die to a trap that was just there or something. And so I die to a trap. and they're like, okay, we're gonna pop, and then you pop, and like the best response if you're fucking up like that is that you need to back out. You need to go to the other side of middle. But imagine for some reason you get lost in the moment and like 4 or 5 of your players die. 4 of 5 players die. The other 2 people are like, oh man, I'm not gonna die on mid, so this team caps, and then they have you pushing at you too. I think it's like a really depressing part of the map is that people like get confident. They're like, okay, we won middle. Let's just take our time here, guys. Let's push into 2. And then they just shit on the money, and then all of a sudden they're defending their last. So, Goalie Wash is an interesting map like that. But in terms of pushing, the main nugget that I would give out to people is that you have to be rotating your heals. You have to be moving your medic from over there to over here in some kind of with some kind of strategy. You need to come up with a couple concepts on how you want to get into 2, and you need to be moving your team back and forth. I think the best teams are the teams that are able to move back and forth, catch someone off guard, and then totally commit. So I think Blank, there was a question in your thread that I read about Blank saying that the Demoman should hold choke alone or something like that, and the whole team goes over there.
The control point is being captured.
Is that what he said, Sean?
What are you talking about? Talking about blanks Ubering into 2?
1 second, I'll find it. Blank says leave you. Okay, this is a question from Dana. The question on my mind is from mid, how to break the 2 hold where combo etc. stand on their battlements. Blank says leave your demo and maybe roamer at choke and take the rest of your team through flank lobby behind them. Okay, so they're talking about I-46 and they're talking about mix-up against Quantic or whatever, when we were holding up here like this and we're like, fuck it, we're not going to do anything. If they come in, they can come in. So basically, like, thinking about this is the enemy's position. I'm the enemy right now. I'm sitting up here doing my thing. I got height advantage, so I can just do this. You know, I don't even have to get hit by anything. I can just keep damaging. You know, if anyone jumps, we'll be able to air shot them because it's if they like. Here's the thing: if they come in through this direction, there's only a little area they can come through. Like if they RJ through and land over here, they're fucked. So if anything ever RJs you coming this way, they're gonna land. They're gonna land either on that, or like right here. So that like hitting them with air shots or hitting them in the air, as weird as this might sound, guys, it's really easy right here. Like if you shoot right there, they're either gonna like miss and have to hit on the ground and then they're gonna die, or they're gonna run into your shots. So it's kind of a weird thing to say, but anyway. So back to the enemy position. The enemy has height advantage, and I would say the only weaknesses, or the main weaknesses, are that they're not going to be holding choke that tight, even though the demo's going to do stuff like this. And the other weakness is that if everyone's upstairs, the team pushing in really wants to abuse getting inside. They want to get at least a scout in and get inside. You know, it's going to be hard to walk in that way, but if you can create a situation where you can get in and a scout's behind, what the scout's going to do is take his time and then eventually get a pick or just create some turmoil. So,
you want to just show him some sticky traps for as far as like for holding? Like,
sure.
Choke there.
Yeah, I'm slouching. 1 second. Sticky traps. Talking about 2.
Yeah. For
defending
two and defending last. Like where do you put
this ridge right? Oh, that's.
You can't do it.
This ridge, gotta work on these. This ridge is pretty good. It's not great. There's some better spots. Normally people just put a couple stickies.
They do swing wide through that choke, so that's not bad. It's kind of hard to hide them.
The trick though is if you're gonna put them down, like that, you need to make sure when the enemy's pushing in that you're like shooting over here, so it's gonna make them rotate, look at you shooting at them, and they're like, oh shit, and then they go on that. But
I think the rock to the left, I've seen a lot of kill traps there too. I think I've died to that one before.
Yeah. So one thing that you guys, any up and coming demo man out there, watch. If you put multiple stickies like that, that's actually it's not gonna be 3 stickies right there because of the angle and the position. Guys, I don't know fucking anything about TF2. Just bottom line, that won't do as much damage as. Like obviously not perfect stickies, but doing 3 stickies all in the same spot is not going to do nearly enough damage as separating the stickies so that people walk into them. And obviously that's not the best trap right there, but that's a little factoid for you. So still holding here. You gotta look for nook and crannies, guys. I'm not gonna give you my what?
The bush
Oh yeah, no.
right, along the line.
I'm not gonna give you my best stickies, but you gotta look at the nooks and crannies. Like, look at this. Like, look at that nook and cranny right there.
Mission ends in 60 seconds.
You know the medic is like, oh, okay, hopefully I don't get airshot, hopefully I don't get, oh. So, look at the nooks and crannies and play them that way. Because don't always be thinking that you want to drop the med, you want to drop the pocket. You just want to create a situation where you killed one thing on their team. So, just do it up. But, yeah, Sean was saying the bush here. And that if you want to get better at Demoman, you just got to walk the map. Cap 2, sure.
Or you have to cap middle.
Mission ends.
Oh, I have to cap middle.
30 seconds.
Or I can just restart the round too.
Whatever makes sense, bro.
I'm just restarting it.
The control
Do
point is being captured.
any sticky spots on flank? Those are some pretty good ones for choke. And I think the ones around choke are pretty obvious too. Just any of the walls where they have to come through, or the health kits, shit like that. But that rock one's pretty good. The bush one's pretty strong.
Yeah.
What about the flank sticky traps?
Yeah. One
Is
second.
that a phone?
I'm calling back. Yeah, no, I'll talk about a choke in a second, but there's lots of spots to put stickies. I'll give you one of them. Fuck you guys. I hate you, community. I do this trap where I put 4 here, and what I'll do is I'll be fighting them from the high ground, and I'll just be fighting them from the high ground. And what I'm never gonna do is like go try to get to my team, because if I give up on fighting them and go this way, they're gonna kill me. So what I do, I'll be fighting them here like this, and things will start pushing on me. And if anything ever tries to come up this, it's really easy to hit them in the face. So if anything ever tries to walk up, I'm just doing like that or something like that. But what I'll do is I'll fight them like this. Just keep fighting, and then once something overcommits, it's really easy to tell that someone's dropping into this area. And so what's going to happen is I'm just going to keep fighting, and if anything commits on me, I'll just drop like this. And even though 70% of the time I'm going to die, what I'm doing for my team is I'm doing shitloads of damage. I know I'm going to get a pick with that trap because I'm baiting people into me, and after it happens, I'll be here and I will die, but what's going to be happening this entire time is that my team is set up, people are overextending, and then they're just going to shoot them from the high ground, and then the enemy's going to Uber. So look for the nooks and crannies and think about it from the enemy's point of view.
What about for holding last? Do maybe a few traps there.
Absolutely. I'll
I
go
think we can
flanking
skip
and
over
last.
pushing last. I think pushing last is demo. I think it's almost all about getting spam on the point when your team starts getting cap time. Would you say that's accurate?
Sure. Wait, say it again?
Oh yeah, maybe do the couple flank traps too, if you have any. Flank traps and then last sticky traps.
I mean, the timing of it's really hard to put a trap in this area. The ceiling's so high.
Yeah.
I do traps like this sometimes, but sorry. If anything comes from this side, they can see the trap, so it's normally negated really quickly. But a good trap is this one. I like putting at least 3 or 4 stickies right there. Very, very, very hard to see, as you can tell. And what it does is, when most teams push this way, they do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And obviously that's going to kill them. So, pretty good trap right there. Obviously this trap for open players and stuff like that, because you can't see it. You literally, if you want to get better at Demoman, just walk around the server and pretend you're the other team. Walking through here. That's what you do. Look at what you're looking at right here. You can tell some of the best spots are right here, right there, right where I have these stickies right now, and maybe right above here. But most people will look through that. So look at areas and figure out where you want to put the stickies. But in terms of the top 2 traps, people put like a couple stickies here. My sticky placement isn't perfect right now, but like that. And so that's a good one. And then this one. These are the top 2. Really on flank. These are the top 2. One right there and one
show
right
them the
there.
cone trap on the point.
Sure.
There's a lot of traps on that point, actually.
Seems very safe, right, guys? Seems very safe. I need some ammo, too.
Cheats are on.
Cheats.
I think Impulse 101's reset, right?
That makes sense. Oops. Okay,
you
so that's
killed the
fine where it
cone.
is. No.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's close.
So typically it's standing up, guys. What you're gonna do is you want to set it up very early, so people don't expect it to happen. So what you're gonna do is you put your stickies. So that that's not perfect, obviously not perfect. But here's the crazy thing, like you guys are staring at that right now to see if you can see them. But in the heat of the battle, someone coming around choke is like, okay, there's stickies there. Is there anyone over there? Anyone over there? Is anything going on? Maybe they're up top. They're not even looking at that cone. So the cone happens here. Scout comes on point. Medic comes on point, and boom. So
there's another cone at choke too. I think it hides in the corner normally. I think I already killed it.
I'd say how these are used now in terms of the game advancing is a demo will be here with like this, and he's like, oh, a cone. And he'll just put like 2 stickies there really quickly. And instead of like doing big ones, because then someone comes in, he's like, oh, and then a scout overextends and he gets him.
Yeah.
So you want me to, what were the last 2 things you want me to do?
Traps. What about sticking the lobby doors? I mean, I think that's obviously pretty strong. Shutters are the demo's friend, but when would you sticky the doors versus just falling back to last and sticking?
Well, one thing that I think is going to happen this season on Goalie Wash is people are really going to be using the forward hold. Because all you have to do is put a couple stickies there, put a couple stickies here, and then you play from high ground. Maybe having a scout like filtering into the bottom area. You know, the only way that you get pushed out is if the entire enemy team pushes up top. But even then, there's this choke right here, which will allow you to spam them from water or whatever.
In this hallway too.
Oh yeah. The most important thing that you guys should take from this is just walk around the map and be like, okay, what would be the most annoying trap to people? Because that's kind of like how I lay my sticky traps, is what's going to piss them off the most. Like, I just like picking off one person every time they push, because then it's just like, that bad taste in their mouth. So in here, yeah, you can just put up a sticky trap at door. One thing that you can do is just put stickies on the red. Some people, like, colorblind is a relative term. Everyone has a different way of seeing things, and not everyone, but people have a different way of seeing colors. So one person might come here and like immediately see the stickies, but another might just be looking for color differentiation. So they just come in, they're like, and they just die. So do stuff like that. But look for the nooks and crannies. You got stuff like that, and the wall over here.
Health kit's a fun one.
Hey, yeah, health kit's really good. This is really mean. I think I did that right. Yeah, that's really mean. But actually, oddly
you watch
enough,
that one from last too. Is the mean thing about it? You just put that up and then just fall back, and then when they come in to take lobby.
Exactly. So, I wouldn't say there's a lot of stickies here. If I was to ever come into this room, I would just do like this, and then just put some traps over there, and I'd just be fine like that. If you guys are also here, of course. Yeah. So that's this area. I'll go over this area really quickly. Look for the nooks and crannies, guys. Trust me, this area has not been completely exploited yet. Like, there's a lot of gayness to happen in this area still, and I will definitely be showing you some funny stuff on this map. So, you got light. Like, watch. Like, when people come and, you can put stickies all over this pillar, wherever you want. And then you just bait people to come in. Like you can put stickies here and then just be your demo like this, and you have a roamer pushing up, and then like someone tries to kill him and you just dead him. Stuff like this. This is a good medic killer. Like, there's different kinds of traps. I like this one as a medic killer. I call it a killer trap whenever I'm setting it up for people, because that'll let them know, hey, let the medic through. Like, let them feel comfortable. So, maybe even... No, that's too obvious. See, you guys are getting what I'm saying. Like, I'll do this before the BP mix-up matches. I'll walk through this for like 20 minutes and be like, any crazy new stuff like this? Like, this trap is kind of weird. Not many people will be directly on it. Most people won't be... Like, if a person walks this way, they'll probably die to it. But what I'm thinking, if I have a trap like this, I'm going to want my team to be spamming. Meaning, okay, they're upstairs, spam them all right here. Like, I want you to spam them all right there. And then, like, what a team's reaction will be like, oh, fuck, and then stuff like that. So, combining with people on your team is worth that nerding out a little bit, being like, "Hey guys, when you spam them, just spam them right here. Don't shoot them back more. You just want to like float them back a little bit, and then all of a sudden you'll get a 2 or 3K."
That was a really
Which-
good nerd voice, by the way.
Mission
Was it
ends in
really?
60 seconds.
Hey, Nick, are you here?
Nice.
Can you go cap middle?
Yep.
So that's this area, and then I'll go to last really
Or here,
quickly.
I'll just re-exec. Oh, never mind, Nick. I'll just re-exec. Just do last sticky traps.
Oh, I'm already there. You got skill. You got skill. P.S. Thank you, stream chat, for letting me know about that white dot. Appreciated.
Do you think it's worth it to ever sticky trap the point? I think it's a really good like entrance trap map because I think they can't really sneak onto it unless they sneak by river, and it doesn't cap super fast. So I don't think it's like a Badlands map where you have to have them on there.
Right.
And also the kill traps are insanely good on this map, I think.
You're making good points about the last point not being able to be capped really quickly. That's a really good point you made, actually. Guys, depending on maps, I don't know why. I don't understand this game. Some cap points go much quicker than others, so that's being that. But your answer to sticky traps. As a demo man, when you spawn, you need to do statistically figure out where I should put my stickies to have the highest likelihood of screwing up their push. And if you know they have advantage and you know they're up top, if someone makes the up top call, it's safe to assume that they're right about over there. Oh, they're up top, guys. They're up top. So where my 2 stickies are is where they are. So if I hear that and I spawn, I'm like, okay, they're up top. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put a cluster of stickies right here, and then I'm going to back away from it. Maybe put some at main. So if a scout sees me, like at main, he'll be like, oh, demo sticking main. And so what I'm hoping for with that trap on the right is that I get 1 pick. Because all I want is that one... Oh, jeez. Sorry, Nick. All I want is that 1 pick, and then I kite the damage, and then I get back into the fight. So, in terms of sticky traps, a good one is this. One person always comes through main. You know that, Sean. One person always wants to come through main. So I'll just be like, you're doing my stuff, and then boom, dead. It's good to put traps here. The other thing I like doing, I love doing it against roamers who think they're good, is to put sticky traps in the positions they're going to RJ through.
That's a really strong trap.
Yeah. So it's really good because either roamers will come in through there and RJ up, or they're going to come through the side and try to soar through. So, I hit them through the det and they fly into the wall, and then Seagull hits them with a rocket and they're done. So, so those stickies. The other good sticky trap, which if you're holding up here, like doing like this.
For the roamer.
Yeah, like roamer, sniper, scout, maybe even combo trying to come in here. It's a good trap. You're always bound to get 1 pick right here. Pulse 101, thank you, Sean. But you asked about point, and I really, really like doing the point. And I take it from Badlands. It's really nice to do these under and like on the side stickies. It scares people to death, first off, and if anyone actually ever drops into them, you're guaranteed to destroy them. The other thing, I'll put a number of stickies right there. And that's my normal, if I'm going to defend last and I don't want someone to cap, that's how I'm going to put up my stickies. Because 1, it's going to be hard for them to move these, and 2, if anyone ever comes from behind, they're not going to see these.
Yeah.
So if this was not land finals, excuse me, if this was a 3rd or 4th place match at LAN, and we had to, assuming we got there, if this was the match that decided if we went to LAN, there we go. That's humble enough. If this was the match that decided if we went to LAN, this is how I would put up stickies if we had to D-last. Because I don't have to do anything. Like I can be just laying. Sorry, like yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing. I can be just firing stickies and deading at the same time, and just still be staying close to it. So, sorry, Nick.
Get fucked.
So that's that.
I think that kind of covers it, Brad. Thanks. There's. I think the overall point is just look around the map, try and innovate with your sticky traps. It's a really powerful demo map. The chokes are really choked, I guess, and there's lots of gay spots in lobby. The river, there's a lot of walls they have to hug. It's pretty open around middle and 2, but the choke points in between, and then once you get in the lobby and last point, there's lots of really strong sticky spots. There's guys asking about pushing last as demo. I think that's pretty much just kind of waiting for the Uber to develop and getting spam on the point when your cap time gets there.
I got the
Say that's
perfect
accurate?
answer for you. It's like it's the study guide answer. Just watch a Banny STV of this match, and then you'll learn how to push last. Literally, what he does. He's had some insane matches on this map, and I'll explain. I'll be the last two things I'll do. It'll just take 2 minutes. The first thing when you're attacking last as demo, try not to be completely involved with the Uber unless you have advantage. But try to lay like I do gardens of stickies, or just like laying down lots of stickies. Because what's going to happen is in the confusion, in the spam fighting, someone will drop on those stickies for some crazy reason, and then you just dead. So, just doing lots of area control is good. You know, you can do this and just bait people into you, stuff like that. But yeah, the whole Banny thing. I'll give you guys one nugget of why Banny destroys this map. Last. On a lot of maps, it's easy for last to move into 2. There's a nice flow to it. You know, that feng shui. It's really easy to slide in through. But on this map, last is its own thing. It's like its own castle, you know what I mean? It's so hard to push out, and when people push in, like this is how crazy it is, Sean. When people push in, they have to push into like through upper and get to like a whole, push in through upper and get to a whole nother area, and then they're ready to push into last. So it's its own area. It's like its own map, really. And then when you talk about 2, like 2 isn't really even a point, dude. It's just like a big, huge open area, and then there's just this flank area right here. So what Banny's really, really good at is getting an absurd amount of heals at the right time because Shade's a really good medic, and then his team playing completely for him. So like this is what, like if you watch the STV POV, like this is what Banny would be doing. Like this is him, like this. Oh, they're coming flank? Okay, I'm just gonna do like ridiculous damage like this. Okay, they Ubered. Okay, counter me back, and then he destroys. So because of the way the map is set up, and because he's smart, he understands the 2 push and not fucking it up. So he rarely ever fucks up the 2 push. So he understands the 2 push and not fucking up, and he knows that the map is won by getting an enemy's an enemy's 2 point. Like he gets this enemy 2 point, and then he's like, okay, thank God. Now we just have to keep them at their last for like 25 minutes, and then we'll cap once, stuff like that. But yeah.
Okay. Cool. That was pretty thorough. That was like a half hour. You're my boy.
Thanks, man.
Nick, you here?
Yep.
You gonna go ahead and go over medic?
Sure.
I will. I'll try and play like the role of pocket, I guess. For this.
Have a good night, guys. Take care of yourself.
Later,
Be
Brad.
safe.
You too.
Safe.
Have a good
Don't
weekend.
drink and drive. Much.
So for heal rollouts, here, let me change my overlay real quick. Let's see. Well, we can probably just do a really simple version of the heal rollout. I think initially you're gonna get the demo buff so he does his initial rollouts, and you stay on him as long as possible. If you're soldier gunboats, you can also give him a quick tap before he does his initial jump. Right about here is when you're gonna lose the demo in most cases. When you're at the door, he's gonna be jumping away right as the round starts. And then I think you get on scouts from about right there until right here, usually. Is that about right?
For
Well,
pretty
here, we
much
can just
any,
test this. Here, just heal me on scout. Assume there's no demo. There's going to be a demo being healed.
well,
by
yeah,
demo.
like right around where the door is down low, that's right around the part where you're gonna lose a beam on the scout, like right around
Right there.
here.
Okay. So
Like
right
I'm
there.
gonna be right around here, and right about pretty much where the doorway is when you're gonna lose the beam on the scout. On pretty much every single map, this is how you would want to heal scouts, is to make sure they get that crit buff at the maximum range when they're just about to get away from you from when you can't heal them anymore, because obviously they're plus forwarding to mid. So really, yeah, you shouldn't be healing scouts at all until just about right when you're about to fall off this ledge.
That's when you lose
because
track of them if they get out of your range.
exactly, and really right around here, you do have enough time to tap both of them real quick. So it's not like it's a super like fast thing to do. In spawn, as always, you want to give the demo the first buff. And again, right around here, he'll usually, you know, go out the door, and he'll stop right around here. Of course, just give him 260 or as much as you can, depending on how far he gets out the door. I don't really ever see roamers go too crazy with like, oh, give me a giant buff, I'm gonna go crazy on mid, I need a buff before the demo or anything like that. That doesn't really happen. Typically both soldiers kind of stick with you during the rollout. So demo is first. Demo until he's pretty much out of your range, assuming he's going to be fairly fast.
And then same with scouts?
Yep.
And then I think you pick up your roamer after that. He's usually walking about right here, unless you do some crazy rollout.
The problem with healing soldiers on this map... Sorry, I'm readjusting my mic. The problem with healing soldiers on this map is it doesn't take long to get to mid from spawn.
It's a very short rollout, and the equalizer crit buff effect doesn't really come into effect until later. Some people don't even equalize. I think it's still good to equalize. I'll show you kind of how Lang here. I'm gunboating right now, so here I'll just restart it, and let's do just healing the roamer. So right now you'd be healing demo. Here, don't buff me.
Sorry.
So right now you'd be healing the demo. I probably wouldn't do any jumps if I was roaming, unless I got the early crit buff. But I would probably just do a jump like this, and then he would lose scouts right about there. So now he's healing me. As roamer, I might, if I'm gunboating, I might do a jump like this, because right now I'm 300, and he's gonna have to pick up the pocket and get the pocket his crit buff. So right about from right back there in the door right there, so right about here is where you're gonna heal the roamer. If you're going through a yard, then your pocket may not even have to equalize, because you can just buff the roamer through lobby, and then once you get to right here, the roamer can bail this way, or he can go choke ahead of you. And then the pocket can just run with you if you go choke. But I think most teams like to go this way. It's generally considered better, because once you get in, you have options, go left or right. You can even push underneath. But I think you just want to heal the roamer until you get to about right here, and then you switch to the pocket. And I'll do the equalizer thing now. So don't heal me yet. I did that late. Attack! That's probably even too much health I took off.
Yeah, a little too much.
I'll show you what Lang does, though. Lang goes through this way. You still go to the right and grab this little pill, which I think helps, because now I'm 100.
That definitely helps, yeah.
And you just wait here. It's important, though, to not fuck up if you're the equalizing pocket, it's important not to peek this and take a gay sticky or a scatter shot for 3 damage and lose your crit buff. So make sure your medic's on you for a little bit. And right about here is where you're going to wait with your pocket, and the medic will pick you up when he comes out the door there.
What I typically do, everything you just explained works perfectly fine, but I guess to make the healing process easier, since I do like it if one soldier equalizes and hopefully he doesn't hurt himself too much, but the other soldier, since by the time pretty much everything spawns and everyone can move, the demo is pretty much out of range, and I don't need to heal the scouts immediately, so the only people I have left to heal is a soldier, and the other soldier is equalizing. I typically like to give a 300 buff to the soldier right around here, like I'll do a 180 and give him 300 before he rocket jumps off of this little post right here. So it makes everything get to mid. So then I'll just be pocketing him all the way to mid, and then and then I'll just right around here. The roamer won't, or the equalizer won't have full crit buffs. So he'll be pretty close. He'll have like mid crit buffs. So typically, both soldiers should be at 300 by the time you get here. This map's a little bit harder to do it on than others, but you don't want to jump at 200 or 210 on this map, because jumping is way too important. You don't want to stay on the ground, especially if you're going this way.
Let's talk about the middle now.
Well, when you get here,
yeah, I'll let you talk about. What do you think? What do you think? There's like 2 or 3 options for medic.
Well, obviously, it really depends on what your team is doing, but it's not too uncommon for both soldiers to leave you here and really to have almost no one. If that's the case, really one of your only options, and again, it depends on what the team strategy is If your team is going super aggressive on their side, then you would want to walk up their little ramp here.
And you would meet your soldiers like if they jump up
Right.
to the right.
Exactly. It's a little bit risky considering your entire team is practically going all in on their side. It's not an all-in strategy, but you're going hyper aggressive on their side. The only other, it's not really too great to stand right here because you're playing really passive, and the only people you're really healing is maybe the demo that happens to be standing here, and again, sometimes the demo won't even be here.
I think also the enemy demo can come in if you place choke aggressively.
Right.
A lot of times if the demo does the fast roll through choke, you're gonna take a lot of spam getting through there. So that's something you probably need to work on when your team's doing scrims, is just taking minimal damage when you come through.
I would say the biggest perk about staying here, though, despite me saying it's not really great staying here, is that it's hands down the easiest way to get out. So even if you get here and instantly like 2 of you die and it looks pretty bad, you can be like, all right, well, this is a really get out of mid free without taking any sort of giant risk thing. Alternatively, it really depends. You have to immediately, probably more so than any other map, you have to immediately eye where everything is. You can, this is a little bit risky, you can give immediate heals to people on this entire mid platform, and help them out instead of, because the reason why I say that is because the only other thing you can do is walk up the ramp here and you're out of the fight for about 4 or 5 seconds while you're doing that. The only problem with this is that, number one, you're exposing yourself pretty hard, and number two, if someone is on the ground, such as a scout being like the number one threat here, if a scout sees you like right about where you're standing, then you're almost certainly dead, especially if no one fell down with you. Pretty much, if it looks like a good idea to walk up, which it typically is, at some point, obviously, because the only other way you can get up here is going up their ramp, which is obviously a lot more risky. Then you have a giant health pack here, so you're probably likely to take a bunch of spam, considering the current meta is to, I don't know, spam the other teams. Like, this entire area that we're standing in is supposed to just get completely spammed hard, so it's not too uncommon that by the time you walk up here, or before you even walk up here, when you're down there, you're probably going to be maybe about half health. So you can grab this pack for free. Other than that, like, you have to just be... I want to say, obviously as medic you have to be careful, but this map it's so easy to die on this map medic if you want to, in my opinion, if you want to have a successful mid. This is the easiest map to not die as a medic, considering, again, right down here, if it looks bad, you can just back out. But again, you're not being too effective. And same thing if you go through yard on your rollout. This is another rollout. It's a little bit longer. And the only other problem with this is that, as Brad was saying earlier, if a banny rollout happens, you can get locked out pretty hard since you're getting to mid so late. And again, you're here, and if it looks bad, then yeah, you can back out easily for free. But again, you're not being super effective by standing out here or all the way down there. You need to be out a little bit more. So typically, I try to buff scouts as much as possible, considering scouts are incredibly important on, well, really every class is incredibly important, but I feel like scouts, I tend to pocket them just because I feel like they can protect me the most from like people jumping. Whereas like if a soldier has his rocket launcher out and an enemy jumps, like he either has to hit an air shot or he has to take out his shotgun, which takes, about a second. Other than that, you need to be really careful with, and you need to really listen to what your team is commenting for, like, oh, soldiers jumping on our side, and if you know that, then you have to be careful with, coming up here. People will put spam on the top of the ramp. Like, this is not a very easy map to play medic on. the best I can say is that you can usually see something coming on this map, so it won't always be a surprise. But the only problem is that even if you see it coming, sometimes in the position that you're in, it's too late. Like for example, if you're down here healing people, if you see that scout over here, you're dead. You're absolutely gone. So that is.
So would you say like this is option 1, that's option 2, and that's option 3? Or is it like 1 and then 2's over here on the right? Because I think this is definitely the most typical where medics run up here.
That is most typical.
I think if the demos usually go choke if they're quick, then this is where you usually can pick up the demo. Also, if your pocket jumps up to the left when stuff's contesting your demo, you can usually meet your pocket when he's like fighting people like right here and on point, and then you can heal your pocket as well, and he's there to protect you. And the same with the scouts; they're usually up top. They're trying to contest this platform area.
The reason why I say that, I mean, yeah, it is most typical to run up this ramp, but sometimes it's not always most necessary to do that because, let's say, immediately when you get here, their roamer is really fast to mid, and unlike a roamer and a scout, instantly when you guys get here, they instantly just go hyper aggressive on you, and your soldiers are, and your soldiers are, you know, dealing with that because obviously they're trying to kill the medic. You know, that at that point your soldiers have obviously, or at least I would hope they would have taken damage, and then you want to get them back in the fight by getting them to around 250 or 300. So sometimes, even with that happening, you don't want to just be like, all right, soldiers, I know you're hurt, but I'm going to run up here anyway. No, I would make sure, because while you're buffing them, you're having someone protect you, or they can walk up the ramp with you. It's really however you guys want to play, because you can be a little bit more passive and walk up the ramp with your soldier, or you can be like, you know what, I'm going to get you to 250 or 300 again and put you right back in the fight, and you can jump up on top of the mid platform. There's really a lot of ways to play this map differently, and that makes this map really interesting, but this is not a very easy map, especially for a new team.
Yeah. I think if you're, point really quick, if you're going this way, it's really important to make sure you're looking at this.
Yeah,
make sure
absolutely.
the scout's not dead bombing at you. Because I think the timing is about, like, when you're getting heroes medic, I think a scout can be, like, right there. And usually they'll delay, like, you can watch right through here and see, like a scout, I'll talk about this, but you can see when, like, the medic's running there. And when the soldiers jump and leave him, then the scouts might try and flank you. So that's one thing you have to be cautious of and make sure you communicate it. Just look right through here before you go on the ramp, otherwise you could just get two-shot when you're walking up.
Yeah, every single time I go here, I always do, and I mean, you don't really need to be spectating me, but how I'm looking right now, I can see pretty much the entire mid except for our side, and you know, obviously my own teammates should be on my side. So I do a quick check here, and if I know that a soldier's jumping or a scout's following me, then I'll immediately do a 180. And if they're close, if they're like in proximity of actually doing real threatening danger to me, then I'll like shoot needles or a crossbow around the corner. But if I know that they're not if they are chasing me, but they're not going to catch me in time, just hold forward, because if you backpedal, you run slower. You don't want to give that time for them to catch up.
Okay. I think that's enough about the middle. We should talk about, we'll bring in pushing 2.
Pushing 2 from mid or pushing 2 from...
From middle.
Okay.
So let's say we capped middle, we have Uber. They got their medic out, so they have Uber and they have people in yard. So let's assume it's like an Uber versus Uber. Do you think it's like people default to choke to like start peeking and like seeing what's up?
I would say going through choke is the most common thing that you see out of most teams in terms of trying to push through to the second point after capping mid. As a medic, you just need to, well, hopefully have a team that is, you know, has enough game sense to check all the, as Brad likes to call them, the nooks and crannies, because there are like a stupid amount of really stupid spots where like people can hide stickies.
I think it's important
the demo
to
has
shoot rockets in certain places to make sure he doesn't have to, like, when he's coming through choke, you don't want him doing this and like just scanning the choke.
Right.
He needs to be fighting this, but I think it's...
I mean, the pocket is going to have to end up doing this because they can always hide above the point. But yeah, you make sure your pocket and your team's just like shooting rockets at corners to make sure it would dislodge any stickies. Because this is a map where if you get mid, you definitely want to hang on to it. Because this map is really annoying to defend or to take back points. So Yeah, you want to play your angles very, very, very carefully, especially when you're going from mid to 2 or 2 to mid, either way, because there's going to be tons of spam coming around this choke, and you want to make sure that you don't take any of it. So if you're standing, where'd you go? If you're standing right here and you're like shooting rockets and checking stuff, I want to be like right around here. Because any sort of rocket you take, it's not going to be a part of me at all. And if you go ahead and push up a little bit. So, even right here, move back, actually, yeah. Just like, don't commit all the way into the, yeah, like right about where you're standing, you're starting to like peek into the point. I'm in a position where I can heal you just fine, unless you go too far around the corner. But I can heal you just fine with pretty much the only like line of sight into 2 you would be pretty much blocking for me, so I'm not going to really be taking too much damage. Alternatively, I can just play this corner here even more to the left, and depending on what classes that they have that's spamming around the corner, I should be okay, and I shouldn't be taking too much damage. If I do take a little bit too much damage, and we're about to commit to the point, I can always just grab the pack here. This is a little bit risky grabbing this pack though. It's probably
when they peek you and start spamming.
Yeah, and if they peek you at the perfect time, then you're gonna get juggled and die or force uber. So if you take a little bit too much damage, you should grab this pill.
Okay.
So after all the sticky check and everything,
so let's say we Uber in, and once you Uber in, I think it's important that I think the point for pushing this choke is just be cautious around here, and then once you're out, I think priority 1 is looking for the roamer. He's probably going to try some sort of force play. Be cautious of a sniper too. It's a pretty good sniper map, so you got to watch for a sniper up top. So I think as far as the Uber fight goes, like you're going to end up popping. Probably, if you don't get forced on the choker right here early, you're probably going to pop about right here to either push him out a lot, push him off up top, or push him off battlements. What about after the Uber? So you don't have Uber now. Where do you think you need to be? So if you need to get out, if the Uber sucks, like do you think you can get out if you're right here, or do you think you need to be like right here?
it depends on what the numbers look like for each team. If pretty much a soldier, like let's say Uber is done and like pretty much most of all 6 players on each team are right around here, like kind of towards the point, kind of towards the door. If a soldier sees you and he wants to kill you, you're not going to get out. You're going, like, you're just going to get juggled against the wall, and even if you do get around the corner, he's going to catch up to you. And this entire area, up until you get about right here, is just, you're going to get juggled. Like, so that you're just not going to make it out if a soldier really wants to get you. I mean, again, you could also go drop down, but you're not. And then if you're running needles there, that might be okay, but he doesn't have to necessarily go drop down. He can just run down. Pretty much what I'm saying is that if you're caught, then you're likely done. Unless you do some really good jukes and you have needles. If you have crossbow, you're probably dead. Even though crossbow on this map isn't that bad, but since this is such a long map, it's probably better to run the overdose or whatever it's called, the one that makes you run faster.
Let's cap this and we'll talk about pressing flank
Yeah.
instead of choke.
Real quick, a big thing when pushing into 2 is whether you're Ubering or whatever. The number one thing I always look at, always look at, and obviously I can't do anything if I even know it's coming, considering I'm a medic and I likely have Uber and I don't want to do anything to drop it, is someone, like a scout, will be hiding or a roamer will be hiding right where I'm standing. Mm-hmm. And there's just been too many times where teams, and myself included, just get caught off by that because someone's just hiding behind there, and sometimes I'll have to force early, or sometimes someone will be standing there for the, like, let's say you do an Uber v Uber at choke and both teams are fighting, so there might be a guy just hiding there the entire time baiting his team and waiting for the Uber to run out, and then the roamer comes back out and then juggles all of you and then you all die. So make sure that that you check that, like someone has to go there immediately. What did you want to talk about now?
For pushing in from flank, I think it's it's a little easier than Shoke, I think. You kind of have, I think you generally get to get scouts a little further in with buffs.
Yeah.
Also, you kind of push your heals into their flank, try and catch them off guard, and just try and make sure you press them back. And you can, I think you can generally get to about here before you have to pop on flank if everything's going
Right. Flank isn't as popular just because you have to pretty much pop right at this door. And I mean, the point is right there, and you can do more interesting things with it, but the reason why it's not as popular is that it's easier to be kept out of flank, because they can just spam you really, really hard. And, you know, they have a health pack right here, they have the lobby inside here, so they can spam down. They do have, in my opinion, a slight advantage, and also as Brad was saying earlier, how Banny will just spam you relentlessly and take no damage in the process. But yeah, right around here, since they have big high advantage on you, you would probably have to pop right around here, because it's not even like what you, it's not even like really by choice. It's just that you're gonna, like, you or your soldier is going to get spammed to oblivion, so it's something that you'll have to do.
For holding,
but
if you don't have, let's say you're holding Chokes, and you don't have Uber, I mean, would you generally back up this way and go up top and get the height, and then cross over here? Or you, like, going
if
through
you
lobby
don't have Uber and like they do,
yeah,
or...
if they have Uber, you need to play at a certain point where you can get out of the point, right?
I wouldn't play up here because you.
I mean, would you go up that way to come over? Is this where you would probably play, or
I would stand probably right around where you're standing, yeah. Okay. Because here's something you always have to think of as a medic. You have to actively think where I'm standing right now, whether I have Uber, I don't have Uber, whatever the case is. If they just randomly decide to push around the corner, whether it's expected or completely out of the blue, am I screwed here? Am I going to get out if I want to get out? Like, am I in a good position? And the answer to this right here is absolutely not. If I don't have Uber and they do. Because if they pop in and I don't have it, and they really want me dead, which, you know, obviously they should if they know. Yeah. The whole problem here is that if, let's say they walk out right now, like literally right now, and I instantly bolt for the door, that's like about a good 6-7 seconds that I'm easily visually plus forwarding to the door. And I mean, obviously my teammates should be shooting at them as well, even though they would, you know, probably be Ubered, and it's a really, really, really bad risk to take if you want to get that Uber. So if, you know, the other team has Uber and we don't, and we want to get it, or we won't, I mean, we're not going to be able to kill people that are Ubered, so why put yourself in that position? Generally, you can play up here. You can play like towards the door. This is a little bit more passive, because at least from up top you have, up top you have the height advantage. But you know, either one of those places work. You can also be a little bit more aggressive on point, not too much, because again, if a demo bombs in or a roamer bombs in really hard, then you might not be able to get out in time. That, and if someone, like if they do a really hard unexpected push on flank and you don't see it and you're out here, then you're likely dead, because the only other thing you can do is run to the big rock and try to milk it, and that's probably not going to happen. It's very unlikely. So if you want to get that Uber, you need to be up top or you need to be at the door. And I mean, there's really nothing else you can do.
Let's talk about the last point.
Okay.
Do you have a preference for Ubering in? I think if you have an Uber, I think you're generally like building right about here, or even if your team takes over lobby and you don't have Uber, I think like stairs right here is a pretty safe spot to build, or even like up here on battlements.
I would say I mean, you can build in this little stair right here, that is true. I would say probably the easiest and most passive spot to build it is up here in the very, very top battlements. The only problem building up here is that if your team, if they randomly decide to do, you know, that push, that unexpected random push, you're not going to be up here, you're not going to be in a position to really help your team. Whereas if you're right here and they decide to, you know, do something, you should be in a just fine enough spot as a medic to be okay. As long as, you know, once you're doing this, as long as you're constantly checking your back both ways, just for spies. Whereas if you're up here, you can, you know, you're probably not going to get backstabbed at all. So So yeah, building right around up there. I mean, at up here on the stairs or up there, it doesn't really matter. But it just really depends on how you want to support your team or how much of a potential risk you would like to put yourself in. Building right around here is also completely fine, considering as long as you have everyone watching all the exits, then there shouldn't be any sort of surprises.
Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about holding. I think in general, like for pushing, I think it's important to try and get to the entrances to the point before you pop. Like right here on the corner, it's okay to pop around the corner right here. I think this is where a lot of teams end up popping because you never know if the sticky trap's going to be there. You can check it with the rocket, but I think people usually Uber on this corner just to avoid any like sniper gayness and stuff like that. So usually just pop right about there and then get into them with your Uber. Try and force this fight, and then when you're medic, as medic, you can maybe fall back to lower and pick up a scout a lot of the time. Let's talk about holding last. I think it's pretty universal. The medic is going to stand right here. There's a pill here. If you take spam damage, you're pretty safe from like a sniper. I think this here catches a lot of lower level medics. So if I'm playing medic, I like to stand up here so that angle is out of play. You can also see through the window, see if a sniper crosses to that angle. So I think that's just a point to consider. If you think their other team might run a sniper, or if you don't see 6 classes, just be cautious of this angle. Don't stand right here. You never know when the body shot's going to come, so just play here instead.
The only real, this is a good spot to hold as medic, and I think it's practically default. The only real threats that you have to worry about is if the main here isn't really like contested in terms of like your team spamming the enemy main, or I mean like let's say I'm the enemy. If I'm not really getting spammed here, then of course the Demoman can just do actually ridiculous amounts of damage to you and probably make you force if you have it. So you need to make sure that someone can't just walk out for free.
Yeah.
Again, you also need to make sure that eyes are on the window, just so a sniper also or a roamer can also just walk in there for free and get a good shot on you. The most threatening part about standing here is having a sniper
Peek this.
Peek at the bottle, or like a Crits Krieg Demoman or something. Then that's when that becomes a real issue. But again, if you have people spamming it and keeping a decent eye on it, then you should be okay.
I think in most cases, if you died from this angle, like from a roamer or demo or sniper or whatever, I think it's on your team and not you. Because if you're holding in a place like that, it needs to be on your demo or your roamer to be controlling this and making sure nothing's at least getting like a free pick on you. But I think if you're over here, you're in a good position.
You can shut down that angle by standing right where I am, because where I'm looking, that pillar's in the way, and I don't see the hallway whatsoever at all. But the only issue with that is that if your team is like sleeping a little bit and not really watching it, or maybe you're doing like a not so aggressive like hold on that, I can't see anything here. So if a roamer were to just go that river hallway and just jump on me for free, I would not see him coming. I would have time to pop, but it would just be annoying. Teams really need to watch that, because that's a pretty decent amount of pushes from river hallway. Actually, that's I think barely. I don't know. There is no real super common way to push in this map, in my opinion. I think teams tend to spread it out pretty evenly.
I think they do for sure, especially with Uber advantage. I think they're going to press you from this angle a lot, so that's one thing to consider too. If you don't have Uber, you still want to be building here, but if you can look through the window here, and if you see their pockets starting to move with a beam on them and you know they have Uber, start being cautious of getting back either into spawn or be ready to surf over to this side here, because you're going to take a lot of pressure.
Yeah, especially if because medics typically tend to play here. If they have Uber advantage and you don't, then they're going to try to come up towards that door, or maybe even through lower. So actually, what sometimes what you might want to do if they have advantage and you want to try to get it is play right around here, or like play a little bit passively here. But again, you're exposing yourself to the same kinds of pick classes and everything, but shouldn't really be. They have no reason to be trying to get a pick running sniper when they have uber advantage, unless they happen to be running a sniper from like the fight before, and the sniper just never died or something. So, I mean, here you can do this, and then obviously if they push back in, you might get pushed into spawn, if it's worth going to spawn if you're about to get it. Another thing you have to worry about is that if they push you out, demos or people will usually lock you out, so you'll be forced to go to the other side, and that wastes a lot of precious time. Alternatively, you can just walk across this. No jumping required, you just walk across it. So that can happen. But that's what happens. Standing right here on the right is not great, because number one, you have a giant line of sight to lobby, which you don't need. Someone else should be doing that. And sorry. And you know, you can get picked, you can get sniped. Another thing is that, again, if they just want to throw everything at you, which obviously if they have Uber, if they want to send 2 or 3 people at the same time from River Hallway, and you're standing right here towards spawn, you're gonna get picked easily, or you're just gonna get juggled and you're gonna die. So standing right here yields a giant risk.
Okay.
Standing on point's pretty bad, considering you really have no escape option.
I think
you
if
can
you have
just
a
milk
demo
it
or
down
a heavy,
here.
I've seen this a lot. I think in I-46, I think Enigma kind of hid back here as heavy, and I think more than once LG fail push last because the medic was able to get like back here behind a heavy, and they just kind of tanked him, and they couldn't even get the top of the point. So I think if the fight's going south, or if they're pushing on you really aggressive and you don't have advantage, I think it's maybe it's an alternative to consider, at least if you have a heavy back here or a demo back here, because the demo can do a lot here too if the stickies on their front.
Yeah,
you don't. You're kind of all in at that point though.
This is not a bad spot if the hold is going good and they can't break up top, like, or any of the entrances up, any of the entrances up top, and any of the, like, if they can't get through River Hallway either, and you know, have a heavy or something, then yeah, that can work. But the problem is if they break through and they start getting on you hard, then you have no escape option. So doing that isn't a horrible idea, but it definitely has its risks. Whereas playing up here on the pill is very low risk, high reward in my opinion, considering you have a health bottle, you have a means of getting out. If you have a really good pick, or like a few good picks, you can immediately go out to mid with your team, or to the second point rather. But yeah.
Okay. Any last minute thoughts for medic for this map?
Let me just run through. I thought I had something else to say, but when you're capping too, this happens a lot, because sometimes if they want to try to get advantage off of you, so like let's say you wipe them at mid and they want to try to like send the remaining soldiers or a newly spawned soldier at you, capping too, you need to be really aware of, well, number one, snipers from up top, and number two, typically soldiers will try to jump from the door or something like that with gunboats. You need to be really good at juking around the point, and or, well, actually not even and or, just surfing. Try to the best of your ability, surf. Well, surfing up here isn't bad considering you won't really take too much fall damage. Surfing down here, now that I think about it, probably isn't the best if you're going to take fall damage, considering you'll take less fall damage up there if you can help it. But getting that pill that you just picked up, you know, will keep you good. As this map, I don't think there's really too much else. You just You know, as Siegel was saying, this is a very gunboat friendly map, so expect a ton of bombs on medics. And as far as weapon choice, crossbow would not be a bad choice on this map. I like crossbow on this map a lot, but since this is such a big map and it requires a lot of running, running the overdose would not be a bad option either. Plus having needles, again, in those spots on mid I was talking about where sometimes scouts like to chase you around corners or stuff, that can be good. But one of the big reasons I like though is that if you're standing back here in mid, if you shoot a crossbow at, you know, here, like to their other choke, you're likely gonna hit something, because either you have people over there fighting them, and or there's just gonna be people on the other team there. And since crossbow does more damage the distance it travels, then it's gonna do, you know, a lot of damage or a lot of healing depending on if you hit your teammate or not. So and especially with the buff that makes it reload faster, it actually makes crossbow a lot more relevant on this map. But again, overdose would not be a bad pick either. So.
Okay, well, thanks for the medic talk.
No problem.
Sorry I interrupted a few times. My brain is still kind of a medic brain.
It's cool. I don't know if there's any questions. I can't imagine there's too many. Considering medic's pretty kind of straightforward on this map.
Okay, yeah, usually I would take questions. I'm kind of short on time. We already went like pretty fucking long.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about Scout and some off-classing stuff, and then probably just cut it. So maybe we'll do questions on the thread or something like that. But we've already answered a ton of questions though. But I'll talk about Scout. Thank you to Nick for doing that.
Yep.
Also, thanks for hanging around and waiting. Siegel had somewhere to be, and thanks to Siegel if you're watching this for doing Soldier, and to Brad for doing demo because he also had stuff to do tonight. So thanks for stopping by. But for Scout on the let me just restart it. I'll do the rollouts. I think there's 2 or 3 options. Well, there's 2. I'll just do the choke one first. I think this is the less common one. I think as Scout I usually go flank. You lose your medic beam about right here, so you take your buff this way. You're also getting in the middle a little later. So you got to be cautious of if the demo presses aggressively from lower. You could get stickied out here and take early damage getting in. But as Scout, if you come choke here, it's maybe not a bad idea if your demo's playing here and if you know your team's going to come up top left and play top left. You can do shit like this and deny jumpers really well from like a position like this. You can even come over here and fight the point if they shift to their side. Just watch for a flank, like anything on your side. Like if you see a scout, if the other scouts, the enemy scouts, switch to that side as well and go through their choke, watch for a flank where they just come around this way and like come up your elbow. But yeah, that'd be the choke rollout. The other rollout you can do is when you get your buff, move over to, I don't know why I'm transmitting this in mumble. I guess I don't need to. The other rollout you can do is if you move over to flank, you can do this rollout where you jump on the planks, and this is really aggressive. And a lot of demos, if they come choke, their first sticky is probably going to be like right here to defend themselves against it. So it's really aggressive, and you could get denied or really raped if the demo hits a sticky on you. You can also come up this way, but that's even more aggressive, I think, because the demo has like a free pipe on you when you're in this choke. There's like no room to dodge at all. But if you get aggressive and you have a roamer maybe going aggressive before you can, so it's kind of a good angle to attack from. Also, if you know the other team's going flank a lot, especially with their demo, it's maybe not a bad idea. It's kind of considering where your team's going to be. Like if my medic was going up top left, I probably wouldn't do this rollout. It's just I'm too far away from anything. I'm probably just gonna end up feeding them a pick when the pocket jumps me or when the scouts fight me. This is probably like what a lot of scouts in Invite do these days. They jump up on this awning here and then jump up this way and attack the platform from there. You have a lot of options. You can go to the right. You're still in a pretty good position once you get to here. I mean, it's just 2 jumps and you can get on the demo. So it's not as all in if you go up to the right side though, and you're probably gonna have a little more health because I think this gets denied a little less by demos. There's also the option you can come. Let's see. Once you have your buff, you come out flank. You can just run straight down here. If the demo doesn't spot you, or even if he does, it's not like he can shoot at you if you come up here. and you can sit here and stare at their medic through the flank. Usually soldiers aren't going to shoot a rocket through there. Some of them maybe will spam this gap, but it's hard to consider doing that as a soldier if you look at it from back here. So you got to kind of thread the needle, and they're probably going to be worrying about other shit. So I've done this before, is if you come up here and just peek at their flank, you can kind of see when the soldiers jump. Like if the soldiers jump top right and the medic starts running to the right, this is when you can duck around the corner and get on the medic through the elbow. Or even if you sneak in unspotted and they're all top left or top right, then you can flank through this side as well. But that's also, it's kind of an all-in thing where you, I don't know, there's not a lot of escape options. You could get just contested right here by a soldier if he doesn't jump late. The timing's kind of weird. You have to make sure the soldiers are jumping a lot to consider going for the medic right here. But if they bail on him, you can maybe get a medic pick once in a while. What else? There's one last thing you can do, which is really aggressive, and I would probably not do it unless you know like your roamer's gonna do a gunboats rollout on them at their flank, and your demo's doing a fast rollout and he's attacking their flank. You can go here through choke and drop down, and come this way, and just be ready to, like, you don't even have to shoot at the soldiers. You can wait for them to jump and then just shoot the medic. It's something they'll have to at least look for. If they don't look for it, or if you see them just defaulting to this way, like autopiloting, then maybe it's something you might want to consider trying. You can get a free medic kill. Let's see. That's the rollouts anyways. Just for the mid-fight in general, I wouldn't worry too much about... Oh, there's also this. This is something you need to practice. You pretty much just run into this post. It's another way to get on the platform, which is... The mid-fight is a lot about the platform, so it's kind of important to learn how to get up there efficiently. Like, practice this rollout, or this jump on the planks. It's kind of, you have to time it well, but it's one way to get up there. There's only a few ways to get up there, so I learn all the jumps. Like from here, this is pretty easy, but it's still something you need to learn. This one, it can come into play at certain times. Like if you know their combos top left or something, or like even on their side, if they're playing a really passive middle, then this might be a rollout you could try. You just do a jump and you hold crouch, and when you're sliding on this, you just jump again. Is how you get up there. But yeah, once you're up here, I wouldn't worry too much about cap time until after the fight. If you're sitting here just trying to cap, you're going to start getting jumped by soldiers, and that is not a good position for you if a soldier's on this point and you're just sitting here trying to fight other things. What usually ends up happening is I'm probably going to be fighting like on the platform, either top right or top left, and I'm going to be trying to deny their scouts any aggression, and just waiting for a roamer to come in and killing the roamer. If we do an aggressive strat, then maybe I'll push up to like right here, and if I see my roamer fly on them, then I'll do shit like this and drop on them and try and follow up any damage. If it's a more passive middle, maybe my medic comes up top left, I'd probably do the same thing, except I wouldn't drop. I would just make sure nothing's here. If nothing's here at all, then I would just turn to the right and fight the point from this angle. Also, if the fight starts going your way, start considering things like, okay, now I need to cut off the medic so he can't get to last. So you can duck into flank here and just make sure if they fall back through choke and you have, I don't know, if you have your medic up, or even if your medic dies and like their medic's getting out with one person, it's worth to try and come over here and cut off the medic and kill him. So that's something to consider as well. I think it's enough about the middle though. Let's talk about pushing to, it's important to get a buff at least. Usually, like Fragile said, your medic's going to be in a position like this. So if your team wants to push choke, if you think they're not, like I wouldn't be the one peeking this, so this would probably be my pocket calling that they're holding on top or something like that. But if I know there's nothing close, I might do something like this where I just take my buff and I look through here to make sure there's nothing contesting me right away. But then I would just turn around and like check all the gay spots and just say you're clear, you're clear, you're clear. And then I would just come over here and just start making room for my medic and just check gay spots like here. Just start getting in a position where you can attack them when the Uber fight starts or when the roamers initiate. Does the scout protect the medic at middle? Yeah, that's kind of what your role ends up being. Your soldiers are the aggression a lot of the time because it's really easy for them to jump and do damage on this platform. There's not a lot of room for people to dodge. So you can kind of end up being the one protecting the medic and like just shooting roamers when they fly over the point. But for pushing, that's how I would probably push out choke. You don't see a lot of dead bombing in this position because if a soldier's right there, you're just going to die. And there's not a lot of you can Boston bash up here, by the way. That's a I don't know how much use it'll get you, but if you're running from something or if you're trying to attack something quickly, you can do that Boston basher jump. But if you run this, if you attack in this angle, you don't have any height advantage. You can get in a place like this and start doing meat shots, but you're probably gonna die pretty quickly unless you get part of the Uber or something. So I think the scouts and the roamer end up playing the flank a lot. It's kind of a battle within itself. You kind of a lot of times the 2-push gets determined on like how well the flank's going. You want to like come over here and like make sure your medic's getting you buffed a lot. Let your roamer do most of the picking or peeking, I think. And then if he gets a good damage on something or gets a juggle rocket on a scout who is overextended, then that's when you want to make sure you're buffed so you can attack him. Watch for a lot of gay traps to pick scouts, like right here is something you got to look out for when you're pushing. You can swing wide here and check it. There's some roamer spots like up here and up here on the sign that you want to check for your team if your team's going to push this way. For attacking from this angle though, if you push the roamer back into lobby, I like to come in, and you know their demo's not in lobby, I like to come down here and keep fucking with the roamer and like do shit like this so he at least has to look at this route now. But if you get him turned around so he's like looking at last instead of looking at the flank, then you have a roamer and a scout here that can also sneak in. It's also if you get in this door here and the roamer doesn't fall back or he falls back late, then you can do shit like sneaking in the last and getting behind them from this angle, and then you can attack a river or attack battlements from that angle. What else? It's kind of important to it's a rough scout positioning map because a lot of the times you end up with a height disadvantage. So you don't want to be on the ground like here at the end of an Uber with their team all up there. You want to be in spots where you can attack them and be useful in a fight and not just get raped. Make sure you're capping points as well. It's a really quick map, so you want your combo to be moving up quickly, but you want to make sure you're one of the scouts at least is capping all the points so you can keep moving up your demo and your medic. When you're capping this one, I think it's important to try and stay up top. You have a lot of room to dodge if you get jumped. If you're just sitting here, you don't know if they're going to Uber out lobby. If they Uber out lobby, then you're kind of in a scramble to try and get away. The pocket could still jump you and kill you. And then once this is capped, usually I'll do shit like this and move over to battlements and start clearing this area. I think this is a good attack route for scouts. You can kind of push this with your roamer. Make sure your roamer denies this from scouts and soldiers, and then if it's clear, you can jump up here, by the way, and like sneak through this way and get in underneath them. And if you get here, you don't have to show yourself to like a heavier demo if there's something playing at the back of the point. You can just get to like right here, and they at least have to look at you underneath. That means there's one set of eyes that's not going to be looking at this right here. So that's something to consider as well. And then once your team Ubers in, just be ready to have your medic fall back to you. Attack the point, attack the demo. The demo's a really crucial pick on this map. Same with like heavy. Usually a lot of teams will run heavy. I'll talk about off-classing, but make sure you're focusing like a heavy or a pyro if they have a pyro. Try and make sure you get those crucial picks during the Uber, so it gives you a better chance after the Ubers are in, or after the Ubers are over. This here, if your team Ubers in left and you're playing lobby, or you cap here and your team starts pushing, so you run in and you're gonna push in a little bit later, your medic will probably, you can just tell your medic I'm falling back to lower, call for a buff, and maybe he'll meet you here, and then you can push in and attack from this side. Where else? Pushing up here with a soldier and a scout, if you have Uber advantage, is pretty good. Even 2 scouts, because you can just Uber both scouts and kill the medic, kill the pocket. They probably have a heavy here, so you can kill the heavy as well. Top left here is a pretty good attack angle, because you can attack things right here. You can jump on the pipe and do shit like this. Yeah, there's a lot of options on this point. I think on scout on this map, it's a lot about staying alive until the end of fights, so you're useful. For holding 2 or holding last, I don't think scout's very good at all for holding this point. Sniper's pretty good at this angle. You can like line up a dot right there, right wherever, and just try and make sure they force at the choke, or maybe you can get a pick on something. So sniper's pretty good. Heavy is very strong, especially on this point. A heavy spun up right here means your medic is much more protected from like a bomber. Also, if your team has Uber, then you can maybe during the Uber get back behind the point. If you spin up here with 450 health, they're gonna have a rough time capping the point at the end of it. Engineer is okay. There's a lot of good sentry spots on this point. Also, you can just cycle, sit and spawn, watch the fight, and cycle to scout when you need to. Pyro is pretty strong. For the point, you can air blast people off of it. It's good for fighting underneath. They can't really run. You just kind of like juggle them and air blast them. There's not a lot of room for them to dodge you. Spy is pretty good when they put let's see, if they're holding lobby here, like trying to get an opening, and like you can disguise as a friendly sniper maybe, so they think they're running a sniper, so now they're playing against a sniper, and then you just cloak and go maybe sneak out main. I think is probably the safest bet. There's an ammo pack right here, an ammo pack right there, and then one right here. And so if you get like in this area as spy, then you can kind of wait for their push to start and backstab something and coming here, or maybe even get the medic if they're holding really aggressively. It's a pretty good off-class map if you guys have good off-classers on your team. For holding, I talked about holding 2 a little bit, I think. For holding 2, I usually try to get eyes on choke, because like what Nick was saying on medic, if he's right here when they Uber in, he probably can't get out, but since I'm a scout, I can do a lot more to try and get out and dodge. So I think holding over there is pretty good. You can call the choke really early. Playing the flank, I think your roamer is pretty much going to be the one that's calling a lot of the flank fights. So I don't know, you can play right here underneath here, make sure you get a buff, and if your roamer hits a good rocket, maybe he'll call for you to push it.
Ends in 60 seconds.
Stuff like that. I don't know what else to talk about. Do you guys have any questions? We went long on all the other sections. I think that was still about 10 minutes. Good solid 10-20 minutes for me. So if you guys have any last minute questions for scouting, or just the map in general, I guess, go ahead and ask them. I went over scout pretty quickly, but it's pretty straightforward.
Mission ends in
It's a standard
30
push
seconds.
map, but it's just the terrain is something to consider in the fights. Like scouts, you probably want to be in areas like this at the end of Ubers instead of being like on the point or in an area like this. Like this, you don't really have a lot of really good options if you're right here at the end of a fight. Where can I get that crosshair? It's just a default crosshair, but there's a HUD dot that's enabled in my HUD. So this lady needs to shut up. But yeah, it's just a HUD dot with the default wings. I like the dot sticking out a little more, so it's more opaque. Plus, on like if I'm looking at it, shooting at a skybox, I think the dot in the center is stands out a little more. I think that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll put this on my YouTube right away. It'll probably take a while to upload, but it'll be up there tonight. Please follow me on Twitch if you haven't followed me. I'm going to be doing these weekly. I'll try to get them up the week before we play the map of the week for ESEA. And thanks to my teammates for joining me and taking time out of their Friday afternoon to do this. Anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate it.